Hi guys, so today I am going to talk about the top adult books I have read this year so far. And there are four of them, and I really loved them all. I think they're really good, and one of them was actually a reread this year. So let's just go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with this first one, which is Priory of the Orange Tree. If you haven't heard of this one is an epic high fantasy written by Samantha Shannon, who also wrote the Bone Season series, another one of my favorite series. But this one really was just absolutely amazing. It was so in depth. It was intense. It was insane. There was literally nothing about this that I did not like. I mean, you'd think like 800 some odd pages would be really hard to read, but I just flew through this one because it was so good. It was so magical. I loved the characters. I loved their motives. I loved everything about this. There are so many good things I can say about this book. And there's just not enough time for me to do so. So suffice to say that this book was absolutely amazing. And if you haven't read it yet, you should definitely read it, especially if you like high fantasy. And high fantasy where women are not being brutalized or not constantly being tormented in a way that's very negative, usually. Sometimes you see in high fantasy. This book would be for you. It is absolutely amazing. And the second one that I want to talk about is one that I also really loved, but it's one I don't own yet, and I would love so dearly to own it at some point, which is T.J. Klune's The House with the Cerulean C. I loved T.J. Klune's. I read Bear, Otter, and the Kid when I was in high school, and I fell in love with his writing right about then, and I have never looked back. So Bear, Otter, and the Kid was the first year that I read by him. He also came out with The Extraordinaries, another young adult novel this year, again, which was actually really good. He's one of my favorite authors, probably for sure. Favorite male authors, I should say. He just writes so lovely, and it's just the beautiful prose, beautiful emotional book. This book is emotional. I cried at the end. I cried in a good way, don't worry. But I did cry because this book just made me feel so much. I mean, it's got magical kids. It's about finding love, finding who you are. It's about friendship and family and found family, and it was amazing. I mean, I literally had to sit and think on it a couple days because I could not figure out what I wanted to rate it. But it was just so beautifully written, so beautifully enchanting. It's one that I just can't even think about without getting a little emotional because it was just so impactful in all of the best ways. So if you haven't read this one is a great read. You just feel so much during it, and there's just something that you just can't stop thinking about after you read it. And you're just like, well, I kind of want more, and I do kind of want more. Although the ending was very satisfying. Doesn't mean I don't want more though. And the third book is, again, a book I don't own, but would love to own. And it was perfect for this time of year, September and October, which was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So, funny story. I read The Beautiful Ones by her. Wasn't a huge fan of it. I loved her writing and everything. I just could not get into the story. So I was a little hesitant going into this, but I love Gothic horror. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it because worst case is I don't like the story. However, obviously it's in this video. I did love it. It's one of my favorite books this year. I mean, it's so good. If you like typical Gothic horror and you like kind of spooky psychological books, this one will be for you. So if you've liked The Haunting of Hill House, if you like Dracula, if you like more less gory, more very creepy atmospheric reads, this is it. This is a creepy atmospheric read that keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time you're reading it. You're just like holding your breath, waiting to see what happens next. This is a creepy, scary, spooky book. This is perfect if you want to read something like that for in September and October. But also you get this lovely characters in here. They're well developed. They're great characters. They're nuanced. There is just more than one side to them. They're multifaceted. And you can't help but root for your main character here. You're just kind of like, I really hope whatever happens, you make it out. As you know, with Gothic horror, there's a lot of death and destruction. Pretty typical in Gothic horror. You know, it takes place usually in a haunted place on, you know, far away from society, far away from the villains. It deals with family issues. It deals with mental stuff going on. But it's really, really well written. I mean, like, this has gotta be one of my favorite books I've ever read. And that is saying something. Like, it's way up there of favorite books. So I need to read her other stuff now because I really liked this one too. And the final book, which is one I own, obviously, this last one is one I own. And I'm sure you guys are probably already know what it is. When I said adult favorite books this year, it is House of Earth and Blood, the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. As we all know, of course, Silver Flames is coming out in February now. But this was very different in some ways than her previous works, which is really good because I love the Throne of Glass series and I really like the Court of Thorns and Roses series. So I wondered where I was going to fall on the spectrum of this. And I definitely really liked it. I will admit I struggled for the first 100, 200 pages in this book, and then I cried. And then I got over the crying, and then I finished, and then it really ramped up like the last 150 pages. Usually this does seem to happen with her books. It's sometimes very hard to get into them and very hard to get started. And then once you do, it gets better. But this book is definitely setting up for some major stuff in the rest of the series. So other things about this, I wouldn't say it's explicit as Court of Thorns and Roses in some cases, but definitely felt more adult. Her writing again, I mean, the more you write, the better you get. But I felt the writing was even better in this one than any of her previous works. She's got this beautiful cover on here. And you just like the characters. The characters are well done in here. I mean, you've got your typical characters that she had in her previous one, like the Fae. And you got angels in here. You got a whole host of other creatures as well, and mythical people. I'm very excited to see where it goes, except this is set in a city environment, which is very, you know, very interesting. It's, you know, almost a very reflection of our world, which is still hard for me to wrap my mind around because of her previous two were almost pure fantasy. Anyway, suffice to say, I really liked this book. I'm very excited for the next one whenever it comes out, and I will be buying it because now I'm addicted to this author. So, those were my 4 favorite adult books so far this year. It's September, so there's time for more to come out. So there's October, November, December, 3 more months. Maybe I'll find another adult book in there that I really love. Maybe I won't. Maybe these will be end up my best of the year. So, you know, it's sometimes hard to pick your favorite books because sometimes the books I rate 4 stars, I remember more clearly than the ones I rate 5 stars. And that usually means I need to go back and revise what I've thought. But these 4 were 5-star reads for me this year. I'm very excited to see what you guys think. Were any of these on your list of 5-star books? Have you read them? Are you interested in reading them? Or what were your 5-star reads this year? I'm curious to know. Let me know in the comments. I'm very, very, very curious what you guys think. As always, thank you for watching, and you can find my other videos on my channel, or you can take a look at my blog and see my latest reviews, and of course my Instagram. I update daily and keep up with my personal life and all the fun little things I'm doing on there. Thank you guys.